Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob.
The screen fades up on a two-story farmhouse, the kind that breathes when the wind runs through it. A mother's lamp in the window, a father's boots by the door, and somewhere upstairs, a boy at a desk, writing down the day so he won't forget it. This was the Waltons, not just a television series, but a memory book for a country that had weathered hunger, war, and the quiet mercies of home, set in Depression-era Virginia and carried into the shadows of World War II. It gave us grace in small moments, a shared biscuit, a mended fence, a goodnight whispered down a darkened hallway, created by Earl Hamner, Jr., who also lent his voice as the older John Boy. The show grew from his own family's story, first a Christmas film that touched the nation, then 9 seasons that taught gentleness without blinking at hardship. Even its music, that warm ascending theme, seemed to turn a porch light on in the heart. Fact number 1, a Christmas movie that accidentally launched a dynasty. It began softly, with falling snow and a missing father. The Homecoming, A Christmas Story, aired on CBS on December 19, 1971, never intended as a series pilot, just a tender holiday film from Earl Hamner Jr.'s memories. But audiences gathered close, ratings soared, and CBS ordered a season about that same mountain family. Almost everyone was recast for weekly television, except the children and one indomitable grandmother. Ellen Corby stayed on as Grandma Esther, while the parents changed from Patricia Neal and Andrew Duggan in the telefilm to Michael Learned and Ralph Waite in the series. Even the music carried a hush of home. Jerry Goldsmith's telefilm score introduced the sound world that would become the show's heartbeat. A One-Night Story became 9 seasons because families watching saw their own reflections in that humble Virginia home. Fact number 2, the mountain was real, but it had another name. Before it was Walton's Mountain, it was Skyler, Virginia, a soapstone town where writer Earl Hamner Jr. grew up, the eldest of 8, watching neighbors survive the Great Depression with borrowed sugar and long memories. He first wrote their world as the 1961 novel Spencer's Mountain. Filmed in 1963, years before the TV series gave that same ridge a new name, the Baldwin sisters and their famous recipe. Hamner said they were loosely based on real local ladies with a fondness for medicine that warmed more than the throat. The series made the place mythic, but the dirt road, the kitchen table, the hymns on Sunday, those were Skyler through and through. You can still visit the museum there and feel the quiet of that porch. Fact number 3, the suicidal time slot that turned into a miracle. Network wisdom said it would die. CBS parked the Waltons on Thursdays at 8 p.m. in the fall of 1972. Directly against 2 established heavyweights, NBC's The Flip Wilson Show and ABC's The Mod Squad. Internally, some saw it as a safe way to prove that wholesome family drama had no audience. But something unexpected happened. CBS bought full-page newspaper ads quoting glowing reviews and urged viewers to sample the show. Week by week, word of mouth grew. By the end of its first full year, the Waltons had upset the odds, climbing the Nielsen charts and 1973-74 season, ranking number 2 in the nation. Variety comedy faded. A quiet mountain family stood tall. The night that was supposed to bury them became the night that made them. Fact number 4, the Emmy night when a quiet family stunned Hollywood. On May 20th, 1973, the cast tucked into tuxedos and simple gowns, expecting polite applause, nothing more. The competition was fierce. Columbo, Hawaii Five-0, Kung Fu. Then the envelopes opened like dawn. Outstanding drama series, The Waltons. A gasp. Moments later, Richard Thomas was named Outstanding Lead Actor for John Boy's tender intelligence. Michael Learned followed with Outstanding Lead Actress, a newcomer crowned Mother of America in one breath. By the end of the night, the show that network strategists once doubted had won 5 Emmys, the most of the ceremony. It wasn't just trophies. It was validation that decency, family, and small moments could command a roomful of bright lights. The mountain had climbed to the very top. And yet, back home, another test of health and heart was already on the horizon. Fact number 5. When real life altered Grandma's voice, the show listened. In November 1976, while the crew was filming season 5, Ellen Corby suffered a serious stroke. Production stopped. Viewers wouldn't see Grandma Esther for more than a year, and no one knew if she could return. When she did at the end of the 1977-78 season, the series made a tender choice. It folded Corby's recovery into Esther's. Lines were shorter, her speech was halting at times. The family leaned in closer to hear her. On screen, Grandma's deficits became part of the story, dignified and real, echoing what many American families knew from their own kitchens and hospital rooms. Corby remained a regular through 1978 to 1979, then recurred. Later, she graced several reunion films, living proof that a performer's courage could deepen a character's soul. It wasn't a gimmick, it was empathy, and it kept the porch light burning. But another loss was coming, and this time, the mountain would go quiet. Fact number 6, when Grandpa's chair stayed empty. The show's warmest laugh belonged to Will Geer, Grandpa Zeb. Off camera, Geer died on April 22, 1978, just after Season 6 wrapped. The writers chose honesty. They opened Season 7 with a 2-hour elegy. The Empty Nest aired September 21, 1978, dedicating it to Geer's memory. There was no recast, no quick fix. Only an empty chair, a graveside on the mountain, and a family learning to carry on. The episode lets each Walton grieve in their own small way. John Sr. burying himself in lumberwork, the children whispering memories like prayers. Television often looks away from loss. Here, it looked straight at it, and millions felt seen. A folk singer, activist, and one-time blacklist survivor, Geer had given the series its twinkle. In saying goodbye to him truthfully, the Waltons kept the pact it made with viewers to honor real life. Fact number 7, when John Boy's voice faded, the mountain found a new echo for 5 seasons. Richard Thomas carried us up the stairs to that little desk where a writer was born. Then, in March 1977, he left to chase new roles and a wider life. The series didn't end. It adjusted its heartbeat. Earl Hamner Jr.'s narration still framed each hour. But the face we knew as John Boy went missing from the porch, explained as a war correspondent lost and injured overseas. His letters suddenly quiet. When the character finally returned in Season 8, he had a new face, Robert Whiteman, stepping into a role America felt it already knew by first name. Some viewers never fully accepted the change. Others were grateful simply to have John Boy home again. Years later, Thomas would come back for reunion films, bringing the circle around with grace. Television rarely survives a change like that. The Waltons did, because the show's true voice wasn't just one actor's. It was the family, the mountain, and the man who narrated both. Fact number 8, why the credits called her Miss Michael Learned. When the opening titles rolled in those early seasons, one credit always made viewers pause. Miss Michael Learned. It wasn't a flourish, it was a quiet fix. Producers worried that a then-unknown stage actress with a traditionally male first name might confuse audiences if her card simply read Michael Learned. So for the first 5 seasons, they added Miss Andra a photo, a small, old-fashioned honorific to keep letters and switchboards calm. By Season 6, America knew her name, and the Miss slipped away. Off-screen, Learned was doing another brave thing, getting sober, helped by her friend and screen partner, Ralph Waite. 2 actors, playing steadfast parents, deciding to live more steadfastly themselves. It made their scenes feel honest, a home built on real courage. And behind that honesty, another sound stitched the family together every week. Fact number 9, a theme like a porch light, and music in the family's bones. Before a single word, the series spoke in melody. The theme was composed by Jerry Goldsmith, a gentle rise and fall that felt like walking up the hill toward home. Producers kept returning to that sound because it framed the hour like morning and evening a ritual, not a jingle. Across the run, Alexander Courage of Star Trek fame and others handled scoring duties, keeping the palette simple, fiddle, guitar, woodwinds, a hymn-like cadence that never shouted over the story. And music wasn't just background, it lived inside the family. Jason Walton, actor-musician John Walmsley, played and sang on screen, while period songs and front porch harmonies stitched 1930s Appalachia into every episode. In a decade of loud TV, the Waltons chose something quieter, a score that felt like a hand on your shoulder. Fact number 10, the good nights were real, and sometimes miniature. Those last whispered good nights weren't invented by a clever writer's room. Earl Hamner said they came straight from his own family ritual in Skyler, a chorus that went on until his father finally called for quiet. Years later, he explained on camera why he kept that lullaby of voices. It was the sound of love closing the day. But here's the filmmaker's twist. The wide shot of the farmhouse, with lights winking out, one window at a time, was often filmed not on the full-size facade, but on a carefully built scale model of the Walton house, a craftsman's miniature with warm bulbs behind tiny panes, a porch light for America shrunk to fit a tabletop. The real set, meanwhile, lived many lives. Built on Warner Bros. Jungle backlot, the original exterior was destroyed in a 1991 arson fire, then rebuilt on another WB lot where it later guest starred in other shows. What endured was the feeling, a family saying goodnight, a nation leaning in to listen, and a porch light that, in memory, never goes dark. The house is quiet now. The supper dishes are stacked. The radio has gone to a soft hush, and the mountain breathes like a sleeping giant under the moon. We've walked the red clay road, felt the weight of hard times, and watched love make a little light where there wasn't any. That was the gift of the Waltons. Not perfection, but perseverance. A father's steady hands, a mother's steady heart. Children who grew up by lantern, glow, and memory. If you listen closely, you can still hear the penciled scrape of a boy at his desk, saving the day in sentences. One by one, the windows darken. A porch light lingers, and the old chorus rises like a prayer across the years.